All right, welcome to another edition of Hops and Houses. I'm Robert Ring.
And I'm Valerie Kroll.
And today we're coming to you from Rotator Tap Room in Walnut Creek. This is a great place. It's one of our favorites. It's not a brewery, but as the name suggests, they rotate their taps and they've got a lot of good ones. So let's start with what Val's drinking. What are you drinking today, Val?
Actually, I haven't tasted this yet. I have the lemon bar, which pretty much anything lemon makes me happy. And this is a cream ale, and it's supposed to taste like a lemon bar. We got a 5.3 ABV. It's made by the Pacifica Brewing Company. Let's see what we got.
All right.
Oh, that's delicious.
Yeah? Well, I know because I tasted it on the way up.
That's very good. Not a lot of carbonation to it.
No, it's a nitro cream ale.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah.
why. Okay.
So it's going to hit you harder or quicker.
Nice.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Can't complain about that. So I am drinking, what's the name of the brewery again?
The Sea I got it right here. Sea Brewing Company.
The Sea Brewing Company, and this is the Beach Buoys. And it is a 6.6% alcohol by volume. The IBUs are not listed. It's a West Coast style IPA. Let me give you a taste with a little bit of the notes on it. It's a nice West Coast. I would say I'd put the IBUs somewhere around like high 30s.
I would agree.
And it's got a little bit of fruit notes towards the end. Maybe a little mango, strawberry, something like that. It's delicious. It's not a bad drinking beer. I'm not a huge fan of super strong, knock you in the face IPAs. I wouldn't qualify this as that, but a lot of West Coasts aren't. It's good. And speaking of the Beach Buoys, one of the Beach Boys died today. He was a longtime Beach Boy, not an original member. Billy Hinch, 70 years old, passed away. So I'm drinking this in honor of Billy.
There we go.
There we go.
There we go.
Okay, so we wanted to come to you with a Thanksgiving edition of Hops and Houses because everybody is running around right now like a turkey with their head cut off. Haha.
We almost had one of those at my house today.
I saw it. That was funny.
Yeah, my Doberman Frida was just about ready to crawl through the wall to get outside. And so I let her out and she took off. She does nothing quietly. So she's running through the yard going, yap, 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 yap. And about that time, this big old turkey took off. And it was kind of like watching the spruce goose take off. It was just like lumbering. And I managed to get on top of my neighbor's shed where safety could be found. But
right on.
Yeah. So we almost had turkey dinner delivered today.
Yeah, totally. It's funny, you get around the holidays and it's like just a few days before, I start to feel about a week before, everybody's attention just starts to refocus on the upcoming holiday and the preparations, travel, shopping, getting the turkey, coordinating with family, COVID tests, if that's what you're doing, getting together with a lot of people. And so, we're still working hard, and there are still pockets of real estate that are popping. People are out shopping, making offers. I just got a deal in contract last night. But it's almost like the world goes to sleep a little bit for a few days while everybody goes to their families.
I want them to go to sleep because I'm writing an offer tonight for one of my clients.
Oh, right.
And this is really, for me, this is the gravy part of the year. A lot of agents kind of take the foot off the gas the last 6 weeks of the year, and I encourage them to do that because it allows me to help more of my clients get into houses. And I'm hoping that certainly helps. I've got a military family, and that's a tough one right now. And it's funny because this wasn't the subject we were going to talk about, but we might veer on this one. One of the things, actually, did you know I've been published by Inman?
I think I do recall that. It was a few years ago.
Yeah, it was a few years ago, and I wrote an article that basically, and I'll stand by that article today, that says, don't tell me you support the troops out of one side of your mouth while denying a veteran housing because you won't take a VA loan. And I feel very, very strongly about that. And this is the first Veterans Day in a long time that I didn't get a vet into contract because I wasn't working with a vet. And that was the only reason.
Usually you write offers for your veteran clients on Veterans Day when you have them?
Right around there, and I get up in the other agent's face, and I just tell them, it's like,
I totally agree. It's really unfortunate. I have a client right now who's a veteran, and he had made offers for months and could not get his offer accepted. And then came to me and decided he's going to do a conventional loan and refi into a VA loan. It's just like one of the things I hate doing is putting a veteran into a non-VA loan because they deserve to get those loans, and I told him that. The qualification is you've got to have a clear termite report, and then a lot of agents are unnecessarily afraid of VA appraisals, which they shouldn't be. VA appraisals can be challenged. There is a process to get them redone if they're really bad. The VA appraisers are not untouchable. There's a lot of myths surrounding that, and they follow the same AIR, appraisal independence requirements, that conventional appraisers do. There's slight minor differences as to the inspection and the requirements, but overall it's a very similar loan from the collateral point of view, and it does require clear termite. And there were some amended rules around COVID. Those have somewhat gone back to normal now. But when you're selling a house, if you don't have inspections done already anyways, you're just at a disadvantage to your sellers. So you're going to do them a double disadvantage by doing no inspections and saying you won't take VA loans, and you'll just have a real streak of anti-patriotism, if is that a correct phrase, in your blood. I mean, I just don't understand it. If you're an American, I mean, you ought to be thankful for our troops. I think the older generations, it's a lot more familiar in their mind, because like my grandfather's generation saw people go off to World War II. He had friends die in World War II for our country and for the freedom of the world, really, to fight, communism and dictators abroad and make sure that didn't come into the homeland. And then, if you look after Vietnam War, African Americans, were not able to get VA loans, which was really messed up. Now all veterans that have served our country with an honorable discharge can get a VA loan, and all home sellers should accept them. I mean, I'm about to sell a house in Oakland, and I will give preference to someone with a VA loan. I feel that strongly about it. So it's really about putting the word out there. Valerie does good work. We need to encourage all agents to tell their sellers that VA loans should be given a special sort of preference and consideration just because of the service to our country.
Absolutely, and it's like, I mean, there are certain situations where a VA is not appropriate. It's like I have a listing right now that has a ridiculously expensive termite, a tremendous amount of damage inside.
Yeah.
And it's going to be $200,000 to $250,000 to get that house. That's a different circumstance.
It's an exception to the rule.
That's an exception to the rule.
Yeah.
And I say up front, this house, the seller cannot get it in condition.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about a termite, most termites are under $5,000. And most of the terms that the VA asks for, I actually have a friend who's a VA, one of the few, there's not a lot of VA, there's 6 in our area, and she's one of the older ones that's been doing it longer, and she says that the VA believes that once you've served your country, you deserve a livable home to live in. And I agree.
Yeah, I agree as well. We ought to talk to CAR and CCAR and see if we can get some sort of designation or honor program, some badge or acronym that people can add onto their business cards when they've gone through training and have committed to excellence in serving our vets and accepting VA offers and knowledgeably educating sellers on what those look like and why they should accept them, because it's really, there needs to be more in that sphere. So I mean, there's just not enough being done right now to encourage people to work with veterans when their offers come on the table.
Well, and another step is, I actually had a veteran, young guy, Army Ranger, that we put into a home where we bid, $85,000 over asking on that. Mm-hmm. But just because it's VA, the vet can get 100% financing, but he can also put cash, he or she can put cash to the party.
Totally.
To make up the difference. So all it has to do is appraise for where the 100% lies. You don't need to appraise. So in my case, my veteran sold a house in Southern California for $50,000 more than he ever thought he was going to get for that house. So we went 50,000 over on the house here because he didn't care. He had the extra money. His wife liked the house. He's like, I'm done. My wife gets the house.
For what we'd categorize as move-up buyers, somebody who's selling and then buying, that can be a really viable strategy. I mean, you got money to put into the game. Also, when you put money down and it does appraise, you get a little bit of a lower funding fee, I believe. I'll check on that, but I think your funding fee goes down if you have some skin in the game. That's also true for FHA on the mortgage insurance premiums. So anyways, yeah, we're here to serve vets. We're thankful for the veterans that have served our country. And Valerie and I are two people, professionals in real estate in your area that are 100% for vets, support our troops, and will work hard to get veterans into contract and get those offers accepted.
Well, and military, active military.
And active military, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely, as I have active military right now, and you know, the problem there is we don't pay our active military enough to live in this area.
No, it's really stupid. I mean, don't get me started on government spending, but I mean,
but here we go.
You talk to a lot of military experts, and a lot of them will say that, you know, after they've served 1 or 2 tours, you know, in Iraq, Afghanistan, wherever they've been, they'll get out and they'll go work for what is it,
not Black Hawk,
Black Hawk, something.
Black Rock.
Yeah, well, it's an independent contractor, it's a defense contractor for the military, and they'll go back doing the same job, better equipped, and making $250,000, you know, for an 8-month tour overseas. And it's like, we ought to be paying that to our military here. We should not be paying peanuts. We should not be paying wages that are hardly livable. I mean, for God's sake, they take enough money out of our taxes. If they spend it appropriately, they could pay our vets and our active military a decent amount of money to live and make a living to serve our country.
Well, then if we used our military wisely, that would be another whole...
Do we want to go down this road?
No, we should probably stay off this.
Yeah. Let's redirect. Let's talk quickly. I'm going to say a quick minute about the rates. What's happening with rates? There's a lot of uncertainty in the bond market right now. Last week, I believe it was last week, an inflation report, last Monday, inflation report came out. Inflation jumped to 6.2%, highest it's been since 1990, over 30 years. We're not quite to the point of what we would call stagflation, but really high gas prices have driven up inflation in a lot of different industries, because high gas prices affect a lot of things, because, you know, gas drives the economy, people are trucking things, goods, you know, all across the nation. So that's a big thing. Biden has asked the Middle East to increase their fuel production to offset the costs of our production has gone down a little bit because we've stopped drilling on federal land and in 12 miles off the coast, which would be considered federal sea. And so we're no longer a gross exporter. The Middle East has kind of put up the middle finger and said, no, we're not going to do that. So our secondary response until we get back to where we need to be as far as production, which I think they're probably going to make some changes to because it's getting to a boiling point, is to tap into our reserve, our oil reserves, which we have across, I think, 3 or 4 states, which is going to bring down costs. Chuck Schumer is actually working with the administration right now. He's pushing them to do this because, especially over the holidays, it really impacts people. It impacts prices. People are complaining a lot about the cost of turkeys right now because turkeys use gas to run away from... No, I'm kidding. But, you know, it impacts everything, right? And people feel it. You know, when they go to the pump and when they go to buy their turkeys, everything is more expensive. So if your holidays, you're already spending money on things to buy gifts for family, etc., and now you got to pay more for groceries, it's a big deal. So hopefully those will come down. But inflation is a big concern right now. There's a little bit of a misunderstanding as to how the bond market works, how quantitative easing works, how the federal government's spending of money to lower interest rate works, and how it relates to inflation. You know, in the past, when you've seen the Federal Reserve come out and say we're going to lower interest rates, they bring the rates down to 0. On the federal funds rate, they buy mortgage-backed securities, which lowers mortgage rates, and it stimulates the economy. It actually causes deflation because it strengthens those sectors of the market, and so it encourages international investors to pour money into our treasury and our bonds, which strengthens our dollar, right? So if our dollar stays really strong internationally, it curbs inflation. But at the same time, you know, we had a $2 trillion bill that went out and put money into the hands of all Americans. It was almost like a universal basic income. I mean, I had Valerie and I were working. We both got money. I don't think we needed it, but beside the point,
I can't even figure out how to send it back.
Yeah,
I've been trying to send it back for a year now.
Yeah, I took my wife out to dinner on it, but I think
I got a little bit more than that.
She's considered self-employed, so she got a really strong chunk of money. But you know, I mean, we've talked about this before, but that causes inflation when you put a lot of money into circulation. It doesn't cause as much inflation when you're using the money to stimulate like the bond market and the treasuries market, things like this. So, anyways, you know, the Federal Reserve chairman right now, his name is Jerome Powell. He's up for renomination in January.
Oh, he's been renominated. That happened today.
Oh, God, really?
Yeah. I thought you were going to talk about that.
Oh.
He's your favorite guy.
Oh.
Not so much.
You gotta be kidding me. Really? He got renominated?
Yeah, they renominated him. I was like, oh, Robbie's not going to like that.
Oh my God. What is
He took off his glasses. That's how bad this is.
what is Biden thinking?
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, he's really aggressive when it comes to quantitative tightening, which is the opposite of quantitative easing. Quantitative tightening is where you're coming out of stimulating the economy by lowering rates. The person who they were considering replacing Jerome Powell, Kale Langfield or something like that, I don't remember her name. She's one of the, she's on the Board of Governors, I think in New Jersey, for the Federal Reserve. She was thought to have a much less aggressive stance on quantitative tightening. The markets would have reacted really nicely to having her nominated. I am really disappointed that he got renominated. He is way too aggressive, completely out of touch with the markets. I think he's a failed economist. I think he should be let go yesterday. I mean, he's that bad. I really do not like his policies. I think they're terrible for America. I think they're terrible for the world. I think when he doesn't play nice in the sandbox when it comes to international politics, he doesn't listen to his advisors, and he makes decisions that just wreak havoc on the economy. We've seen it in 2018. We're seeing it again now since early September when he came out and said we're going to start curbing the purchasing of mortgage-backed securities, which lowers mortgage rates. Gosh, that's really disappointing.
I know.
I think I need a drink over that.
Let's drink.
God.
I don't know how.
I was running some errands this afternoon. I must have missed that news thing.
I don't know how I heard about that and not the Beach Boys.
36 basis points in
Yes.
one day.
Yeah.
Good God. Ah, this makes me sick. Buy a house.
By now.
The sky is not falling. Don't let my expression fool you.
Well, I think he'll be on a shorter leash than he was previously.
Well, no. I'm sorry to disagree, and you might be right, but here's why I'm so vehement about this guy, because when you appoint one of these guys, it's not a federal agency.
Right.
They can do whatever the hell they want for 4 years.
Yeah.
You can't fire them at will. You can only not renominate them.
Right.
It's a private enterprise that's accountable to Congress and appointed. The chairman is appointed by the president.
I still think he might have had a little conversation prior. It was like, you can't do it this way. You got to do it this way.
With Biden?
Because he's the one that.
Does Biden? I kind of wondered, does Biden know enough about quantitative easing to have that discussion? Would he send? I just would hope they would send a subject matter expert to talk with that guy and go, if we're going to renominate you need to commit to less aggressive, because you let those guys go.
I suspect that
like
happened.
Taking a pit bull off a leash in front of a lamb. I mean, you're just like.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying, but you have to remember the architect of getting us out of 2008 was Biden, so he does know.
Well,
what he's doing.
We had some really good economists from Harvard that were on the Economic Council that
worked with
them on what we needed to do.
Yeah.
One of them was Christian Bernanke. That followed up with Janet Yellen. Her policies are a lot farther away from what I think would be good. But when it comes to quantitative easing, she knows what to do.
Yeah, she does. I think the guy's on a tighter leash this time. Yeah, I really do.
I hope so.
I hope so too. Because I hope I'm right.
He was out of control in 2018. I mean, he was raising rates at 0.5% every quarter. It was throwing the economy off. We saw a flood of homes come on the market. We saw prices drop 10%. We saw rates hit close to 5%. I mean, it wreaked havoc. And he comes out and says, "Oh, we're gonna curtail bond buying," and the market just loses its shit and goes, "Oh, we're gonna see 2018 again," in the middle of a pandemic when there's still 250,000 jobless claims and 4 million openings. And inflation at 6.2%. Yeah. Okay, so now that we've talked a little bit about lending and rates, let's talk about real estate. Val, what's the real estate market doing? I'm curious on your thoughts about a couple of things. One is typically the real estate market doesn't know what's going on with rates until about 2 to 3 weeks after the changes occur, because the media is really behind in telling you what's going on. So like most of the general public don't learn about it, and real estate agents, some of them are really cued in, like you now knew about the Jerome Powell renomination before I did. But not everybody is, and so, and
I knew what it meant too.
You knew what it meant. So tell us about the real estate market. I mean, we're going to see the effects of today's decision probably early December when everybody starts to figure out what it means. But what have you seen up until now? What's going on? What are the buyers like? What are the sellers like? What is the inventory like? How is it functioning? And what should people be thinking about?
Right now, the people that I'm seeing that are buying are people that absolutely need a house.
Yeah. Okay.
And
so we're seeing weird
are
people come out of the woodworks, like weird scenarios, is what I mean.
Yeah, folks that absolutely need, you know.
I'm doing a lot of bank statement loans, asset qualifier loans, DSCR loans.
Divorce is over. I can finally buy a house.
Totally.
You know, we're moving to the area. I'm being kicked out of where I live. That kind
We're
of stuff.
serving kind of the unserved buyers that wanted to buy over the last like 9 months, but when they stepped foot into the market, they were bombarded by 40 offers from conventional jumbo A+ buyers and couldn't compete as well.
Yeah,
But that's a big portion of the market that we're serving right now.
Yeah, and it's a matter now of those guys need somebody that's going to fight for them.
Right.
You know, somebody that doesn't call the listing agent, doesn't bother, just emails the offer over and hopes it gets seen. You know, doesn't call.
No.
Yeah, that's going nowhere.
No.
You know, it's like that family that we just put in a house on Friday. Mm-hmm. You know, they had actually, before they met us, they looked at a whole bunch of houses, couldn't really pull the trigger, you know, they got to the point where they were at critical and they were priced out of where they were looking. So my friend referred them over to me and we got the first house we wrote on.
People need expert advice, and I've said this for a while. I got this from my boss, Jeremy. Good people deserve great advice, and you know, you come across people, it's kind of like when you're trying to do a construction project, remodel your kitchen, your bathroom, whatever. You're getting bombarded by contractors that are coming in 30, 40,000, way too high. You don't know what the design needs to look like, and all of a sudden somebody walks into your life, helps you understand the perfect design, what you ought to do, comes in at a reasonable cost and can get it done in 2 to 3 weeks, and you're just going to go, oh, great. Well, I think that's kind of how it was probably when you stepped into Matt and Allison's life and helped them, because it's such an overwhelming decision to buy a house. It's perhaps the largest financial transaction of someone's life. And you know, you kind of go out there, and if your parameters are like this, and you don't have the binoculars zoomed in on what you want, you know, you can be looking at 50 homes. You're not sure what to look for. You know, how much should I offer? You know, what condition of home should I be buying? What should I save for as far as improvements, fixing things, etc. And how do I get my offer accepted? And that's where Val is really good at stepping in and helping people get, you know, kind of, aimed in the right direction, advised, you know, well, and then get their offer accepted, which is just really crucial.
It's actually because I'm lazy and I don't like driving around looking at houses that aren't mine.
Well, you don't like to do unnecessary work.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
that's actually what it comes down to. Is It's like, I don't want to show them houses they aren't going to buy. What a waste of all of our time. I want to show you houses that you are going to buy.
Absolutely. You know, instead of 50 homes, we're going to show you 5, because those 5 are really what's in your parameter. And part of that is really helping them uncover the 20 questions, that they need answers to that they don't know to ask. And buyers typically have like 5 to 7 questions, but they need to know answers to all those questions, because if you don't give them those answers, you don't help them uncover those, they're not going to know what to look for. And once they buy a home that might not be the right one, they're going to get into it, they're going to go, wow, nobody told me that, you know, that I needed to update the electricity in this house. Nobody told me that this fireplace is non-functional. Nobody told me that, you know, the floors shift during the winter and it causes cracks in the sheetrock. I mean, there's all these things that you need to take into consideration when looking at a home, when offering on a home, as to determining what is right for you and your family.
Well, you know, it's like that particular house was on a busy street. Yeah. And we talked about it. It's on a busy street, but it has an incredible backyard. The kids will never go out front. They never have to. They can play in the backyard the whole time. Now, I showed another couple houses last week, and one of them was on a busy street, but here's the difference. The one yard wasn't that cool, and they had an 18-month-old and a 3-year-old. And I'm like, the chances of one of those getting away and running out in the street, super high. So I'm going to get them off of, it's like, no, we don't want to be on a busy street with these 2 little kids.
The house they bought's not on a busy street?
The one from last week's on a busy street. The one I'm working on right now, we DQ'd the busy street.
So and Ben's on a busy street?
No, they're on a court.
So but Matt and Allison are on a busy street?
They're on a busy street.
Okay.
Now, Ben and, what was I going to say about their house? Yeah, there was something really cool about their house, too.
They were very cool buyers.
Yeah, super cool buyers.
Yeah, super smart, too. I love working with smart people. She's
yeah.
Like a professor of medicine for Stanford. Just incredible.
Yeah.
Incredibly smart.
Yeah, so smart people are fun. Oh, I know what I was going to say about
lawyers or engineers. Just kidding. We love lawyers and engineers.
Yeah, we do. My brother's a lawyer.
We don't like him. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, he don't like you anymore. No, I'm kidding. This particular buyer, we had been in contract for about 10 days. And speaking of things that they don't know, and I sent them a text and I said, you don't know this yet, but you're going to ask me to see this house again. And I'm kind of surprised you haven't already. But I wanted to let you know I'm available all weekend this weekend if you want to go see the house this weekend.
Is that like subliminal influence?
Well, no, they always, you see the house, you write the offer, you get the house, you're super excited, and you're like, what the hell did the house look like anyway?
Even without thinking, this is the right home for you. Wouldn't you agree?
Sign on a line that is dotted.
Wouldn't it feel really good to sign the offer for this home?
Yeah. Accept Val's offer.
No, I mean, sometimes people they can't see the forest through the trees. They need to know this is what's good, right for them, and helping discover that is important.
Yeah, but it was really funny just because they hadn't asked, and most buyers had already asked when they could get back in the house again, and they hadn't. I sent them a text. I'm like, hey, I know you want back in this house, and whether you know it yet or not, but I'm available this weekend because I had one of those weekends that I was like, there's nothing on my schedule. I don't even know what to do. I don't know how to act.
That's great.
So those happen every now and then.
Yeah. So we're committed to serving buyers in that way. Val's committed to serving sellers in that way. I mean, really researching, finding out what's right. Our experience lends a lot of expertise to what people need, understanding what's important to buyers, whether they know it or not. Because a home purchase goes far beyond just the transaction. They're going to be calling us in 6 months, in a year. They're going to be asking me about financing. They're asking me, Val, about home warranty and functional deficiencies and upgrades and things like this, and what's going to add value. I mean, we try and make clients for life, and we do that by serving them well, at a high level.
Yeah.
So anyways, this is our Thanksgiving special. We've told you a little bit about the rates. We told you about Jerome Powell. We're committed to serving veterans. Val has expressed that today. I've echoed that in agreement. And so anyways, have a great Thanksgiving. Enjoy your turkeys. Eat them well.
And we're just thankful to have you guys watching along with us.
Yeah, if you've watched this far, you're a real one. Thank you. All right, cheers. Take care.